Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a topic that some say could change everything we think we know about money: cryptocurrency. I know, it sounds super complex, right? It's filled with all this jargon and these wild stories, but stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll get the big picture ideas that just might shape the future of finance. Let's get right into it. So, let's just start with a huge question. What if money wasn't controlled by governments or banks? I mean, really think about that. Imagine sending money directly to anyone, anywhere on Earth in an instant. No middleman taking a cut, no asking for permission. That radical idea? Well, that's the whole point. It's the very heart of cryptocurrency. So to break this all down for you, here's our game plan. First, we'll cover what this stuff even is. Then, we'll look at how a transaction actually works. After that, we'll explore the huge universe beyond just Bitcoin, touch on the basics of investing and the risks, and that's a big one. And finally, we'll ask the big question: is this the future? All right, let's jump right into our first section. To really get what's going on, we have to start at square one. What exactly is cryptocurrency?
Okay, at its core, it's just digital money. It only exists online, and it's kept safe by some really advanced math called cryptography. But here is the crucial part, the detail that changes everything. It operates independently. It's built on what's called a decentralized system, which basically means there's no single company, no government pulling all the strings.
This chart really breaks down the difference. Traditional money is centralized. Governments print it and banks manage it. Cryptocurrency completely flips that model on its head. It's decentralized, running on a network where all the users verify everything together. And its value? It isn't based on what a government says it's worth, but purely on good old supply and demand.
So, you're probably wondering, how can a system with no one in charge actually be secure? Well, the answer is this absolutely brilliant technology called the blockchain. And the best way to think about it is as a public digital ledger. Imagine a notebook that contains every single transaction ever made. Now, instead of that notebook being locked in one bank's vault, copies of it are shared across thousands of computers all over the world. Once a transaction is written down, it can never be changed or erased, which makes the whole system incredibly transparent and secure. And make no mistake, this isn't some niche little hobby anymore. The number of people using crypto is expected to rocket to around 600 million by the middle of 2025. That shows a massive shift. This thing is going mainstream, and it's moving from just a cool idea to a major global financial asset. So, we get the what and the why. Now let's dig into the how. How does a digital coin actually get from one person to another if there's no bank in the middle? Let's go under the hood and follow a single transaction from start to finish.
Okay, let's say Alice wants to send 1 Bitcoin to Bob. First, she just broadcasts that instruction to the entire network. Then, special computers called miners grab her transaction and bundle it with a bunch of others into a new block. This whole block gets turned into a super complex math puzzle, and then it's a race. Miners all over the world compete to solve it. The first one to crack the code gets to add the new block to the blockchain, which validates all the transactions inside. And just like that, the block is a permanent part of the history, and boom, Bob officially has his Bitcoin.
Now, that validation process we just talked about, it comes in 2 main flavors. Bitcoin uses what's called proof of work. That's the super secure computational race we described. But man, it uses a ton of energy. So many newer systems, like Ethereum, have switched to proof of stake. In this method, validators lock up their own crypto as collateral to get a chance to approve new blocks. And this is a huge deal because it's way more energy efficient and makes transactions a whole lot faster and cheaper.
So, we've seen how a transaction works, but here's the thing. While Bitcoin was the pioneer, it was really just the opening act. The word crypto now represents this massive, sprawling universe of thousands of different coins, which are all known as altcoins, and each one is trying to do something different. And they are definitely not all trying to be digital money. This slide gives you a little taste of that diversity. You've got Bitcoin, which many people see as digital gold, a way to store value. But then you have Ethereum, which is totally different. It's more like a global computer that uses smart contracts to let people build apps that run all by themselves. And then you've got the speed demons, like Solana, which is built to handle thousands of transactions a second for almost nothing. Now, one of the biggest knocks on crypto has always been the wild price swings. I mean, how are you supposed to buy a coffee with something that could be worth 10% more or less in an hour? Well, the answer to that problem is stablecoins. These are a special type of crypto that are pegged,
usually 1-to-1, to a stable asset like the US dollar. This gives them the price stability of normal money, but with all the speed and global reach of crypto.
Okay, the tech is fascinating, for sure, but let's get practical. What does this all mean for you? Let's move on to how you can actually invest, where you keep your crypto, and, most importantly, the pretty significant risks you absolutely need to understand before you even think about jumping in.
First things first, you need a crypto wallet. This is just a piece of software or hardware that holds your coins. But what it really holds are your private keys, and you can think of these keys as the master password to all of your funds. Now here's the most important part. With crypto, you are your own bank. If you lose those keys, your money is gone. Forever. There is no customer support line to call to get them back.
And wallets basically come in two types, hot and cold. Hot wallets are software on your phone or computer, so they're always connected to the internet. They're super convenient for frequent trading. Cold wallets, on the other hand, are physical hardware devices that you keep completely offline. They're less convenient for sure, but they are way more secure for storing larger amounts long-term, because a hacker can't touch something that isn't connected to the internet.
As you get started, just try to sidestep these common traps. Don't give in to FOMO, the fear of missing out, and buy something just because its price is skyrocketing. Always prioritize security. Write down your keys and keep them safe offline. Avoid making a ton of emotional trades, and please do your own research before putting a single dollar into any project.
And that brings us to the golden rule. Seriously, if you only remember one thing from this whole section, make it this. The crypto market is incredibly volatile. Prices can swing wildly in a matter of hours. So before you invest anything, you have to be 100% comfortable with the idea of losing it all. Only invest what you can truly afford to lose. So, we've covered the what, the how, and the risks. And all of that brings us to the final and biggest question of all. Where is this train headed? Let's take a look at the major milestones that got us here and see what might be coming next.
I mean, this timeline is just incredible when you think about it. It all started with an anonymous paper published online in 2009, and look where we are now. A massive moment came in 2024 when US regulators approved ETFs, or exchange-traded funds. This was a huge deal because it basically rolled out the red carpet for mainstream finance, allowing anyone to invest in Bitcoin and Ether through their regular brokerage accounts. But while all of this is happening, governments aren't just sitting back and watching. They're working on their own thing, central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. This is basically a digital dollar or a digital euro issued and completely controlled by a central bank. It's got the efficiency of digital currency, sure, but it's the total opposite of crypto's core idea. It's centralized power, not decentralized freedom.
Which leaves us right here with a trillion-dollar question. On one hand, you have this revolutionary decentralized technology that could create a more open global financial system. On the other, you've got a highly speculative, wild market with very real risks. So what is it? The next evolution of money? Or just one massive bubble waiting to pop? The debate is far from over, and honestly, only time will tell.